interesting.
Yeah. So the thing is that because the conversation you started before it went live, so we'll have to just continue from there. But I'm telling you, I don't let people in up till the live doesn't go. We start the conversation from there. And you are saying you only have 1 hour, which doesn't happen here. But if that's the way it's going to be, that's the way it's going to be. So, but why 1 hour only?
I think I'm prepared.
But why only 1 hour?
Sorry?
Why only 1 hour?
Because I'm in a house of, because I'm the dinner and they are waiting for me.
My God, I think, why don't you just call all of them here?
So yeah,
Just call them. We'll all have a.
I am in their house. I'm in their house.
Yeah, so we should, why not we just shift it to their living room and we should have the conversation there with all of them.
We can.
Yeah,
maybe next time.
Okay. Okay, now the only thing is your signal seems to be a bit of an issue because you do, I think, crack up a little bit of you're doing, or you were just freezing there. But what I did was that this whole thing about this JAMS fellowship. You
think I'm freezing? I'm freezing.
You were. No, yeah, in between
okay.
you do.
Let me check it. I try to connect again with the Wi-Fi. Okay.
Yep. Better.
That would be probably better.
Yep. Up till then, I can show my video. Yes, I can do that.
Okay. Let's try.
Yeah. You want to shift it? You want to log in again?
You're okay. I'm trying to change the Wi-Fi.
Do that. Up till then, I'm just putting this video on of the October.
Sorry.
Or the October thing that I did. What all happened in October. But this, I always start with this poster of the Woodstock of mediation. But then what all happened in October, let's just go through that. So we have Migle, who came in conversation with the beautiful mind. Then we had the first lecture. The inspiration is also there. We went for a lecture and we knew Shriram Panchu is, of course, a very senior mediator in India. Then we had this team. They're doing good work. They don't charge for their webinars, but you contribute to Food Bank. Rafael, who's the designer of that poster. Then another lecture by Ken. And then we had this book conversation on the book. Interesting, but only thing, my concept of democracy is something which I wanted to push through, that do we have a democracy? Then reflective practice. Michael Lang, are you going to be part of that, Katarzyna, his reflective practice group? Okay, this is what I was saying. Let me just go back a little bit. Just give me 1 second. So basically this that whole concept of this JAMS fellowship discussion, I made that into a series. So now,
okay, but I think I'm not going to talk about it.
Not here. You'll have to do it as a separate thing. I'll show you. Basically, you're not even looking at this.
I'm trying to plug myself. So I will be.
So okay, we do that when you get in.
Okay. Anyway,
so this is what has happened. It's become a series like this. It's called Mediator Experiences. This is, of course, one experience that we are talking about as a Weinstein JAMS fellow, but people will come with interesting things. So we'll do that. Right. So this is also what you have to record later in the week. And this is why I'm taking you through this is because otherwise people don't even know what happened in October. And then tomorrow is this celebrating mediators thing, which is the birthdays in that month are celebrated on the last day, probably 7:30 p.m. India time. Let me do this. Let me put it out. I know you don't have time, but now this also must go out. November also has to go out. I'm really sorry now. This time you'll have to spend. Obviously, this starts with this. So just have a look at what all is coming in November. Right? So because your thing is also there in that November thing. So we have, he's also JAMS fellow. Teshima, then Michael Lang lecture. Then we have, this is, I put this there. You're going to be doing this. Then we have in conversation.
So let me start in a minute, or I can go to try to plug myself.
You try and plug yourself. Why not?
Okay.
Why not? So did you get the book finally? Katarzyna? Yes, Katarzyna, what happened? So up till she comes back, I think we'll have to play this again. That's what it seems.
Back.
You're back? Okay.
I'm plugged, I'm back.
My God, look at this 1 hour and you still want to do 10 minutes of plugging in and plugging out. What?
That's the difference, you know, the converting in States, in Great Britain and in Poland, we have different plugs. So that's still, it's like, it's like in mediation. It's like in mediation, you have to convert everything. So
can you imagine that
is not done.
In the world, we can't even agree on plugs. We want to do this larger.
Yeah, that's the point. That might be a point to our discussion.
Yes, that is the point. Please tell us, why can't we agree on plugs also? What do we have? What is this issue that we have?
We have many issues. We have many crises. And thank you. First of all, thank you for inviting me. And I try to use that time as efficient as possible and trying to explain what I'm doing and why I'm doing this and why in my mediation word, I try to introduce mindfulness and about a little bit about mindfulness practice in mediation.
Okay, then you got the whole concept wrong. First of all, thank you for accepting my invitation, but you got the concept wrong. There, you cannot come with an agenda. Conversation has to flow the way it has to flow. You can't decide I have to talk about this and that.
I'm going to provoke something, and I'm going to provoke you and the audience, because I would like to speak a little about mindful robot.
Okay, please. Now you decided that you're going to take the conversation the way you are going to take it, so I'm going to take a backseat, which doesn't happen.
Yeah, but I think you can then later on ask questions. But I'm in London, as I told you, and I am inspired by the book which was just released, and the book is by the professor Ryan Abbott. He's a PhD lawyer, mediator, and PhD doctor. And he wrote a book about reasonable robot, artificial intelligence, and the law. And I found very interesting the concept he is actually bringing to the law. And because I was very happy to have been here on this launching of this book, and I have my own experience as a person who tried to introduce artificial intelligence to mediation a few years ago in Paris on a conference by Mediation Center Forum in 2018. And that time, people, I think, even from mediation world, they found this subject pretty futuristic, because I was talking about mediator, robot mediator, and using artificial intelligence in dispute resolution, and how we can actually introduce this machine learning and smart contracts and artificial intelligence and augmented reality to dispute resolution. I found Professor Ryan Abbott as a colleague, as a friend, because he thinks the same way I do. And the thing is that is not contradictory with the mindfulness and mindful mediator. So that's why I was thinking that I might introduce to other mediators and lawyers the concept of being mindful as a inventor, because if we are inventing something which probably in the future would be working with us as artificial intelligence or robots, if right people are sitting on the right places with the right and wise attitudes, we don't need to be afraid of robots, and even robots in mediation. So the concept is the concept of artificial intelligence is very interesting, and I just read in the book that the easiest way to actually explain what is this artificial intelligence, it was explained or defined in 50s last century, and the gentleman John McCarthy says, for the present purpose, the artificial intelligence problem is taken to be that of making a machine behave in a way that would be called intelligent if a human were so behaving. And I think it's absolutely about mediation too. So,
and being mindful, it doesn't talk about who that human is. Humans are at different levels of intelligence.
Exactly.
So which one are we looking at?
Exactly. So we're talking about mediation, and as we try to combine the present, let's say, technological, scientific word with mediation, and as we both know, is a ancient concept of that, having a dialogue and conversation and trying to agree, and we already have it incorporated from the beginning of our birth, and then with the different people around, with the ideas and stereotypes and biases, we just getting into conflict with people. Then, using the very simple explanation of what intelligence is, we can come to the conclusion that being intelligent, being human and intelligent, means that mediation would be the first choice. to actually resolve disputes and conflict. And we are facing so many crises now these days, and we are not so aware of the consequences of being in conflicts and being in this crisis and not facing the other human beings with the open heart and open mind and trying to have a dialogue and conversation.
We are not. That's what I'm doing. What else am I doing?
Yes, we're doing, but we as a human beings. So it's just the way how we should retrain ourselves, how we should practice the kind of a ancient wisdom, and how we should try to, kind of get into relation with ourselves and listen more and observe what's going on inside us. Because the first conflict, as Ken Clark is saying, but I completely agree with him, the first conflict we face, it's the inner conflict. We have conflict between us as our mind and probably us as our heart. And that's why I think mindful mediation is not contradictory with the future concept of using artificial intelligence and just bringing as much technology as possible, because the way of seeing mediation is that this is the first and the basic law, yes, of being around other people. And access to justice can be only delivered and can be only enhanced, yes, by using mediation and using artificial intelligence incorporated in our phones, in our computers, especially if people after pandemic, they facing so many troubles with themselves. And the concept of mediation, internal mediation, is the first concept we should, as a mediators, taking into consideration. And if we step and observe ourselves, what we are doing, how we are actually mediating, what concepts we bring into the table, how we help people, how we support them, how we prepare them, and how we treat them with dignity, then we will probably be serving people more, even before they get to conflict, even before. And actually starting with peers, and that's what we were talking about, starting with the peers, with students, and bringing that knowledge of communicating, yes, having a conversation, and agreeing of giving the space to talk. It's just the first step we should share with people, and that's what I think. So it's like everything together.
You've come to the wrong show. This is not in presentation with Katarzyna. It's supposed to be in conversation. Where am I going to come in? Use this like a full presentation. I have to come in. I tell you, when you said conflict between heart and the mind, what about the conflict with the soul? Is that a conflict? Is that
probably if mediators are having time to think about what they plan to do before mediation, and then having time to reflect after they shake hands with parties, that will probably answer your question, that we always, as a human beings, we have that conflict between our religion, between our spirit, between our, what we think we want and what we can get, what we think we've been taught by parents or school, and what we feel we should do. And that's why we are here, probably because we've been taught to be a lawyer. Yes, we've been litigating, we've been fighting, we've been trying to win the case, we've been helping our clients in a way lawyers are prepared to do. And then we shift.
Well, Katarzyna, that's not actually how it's done, because I, of course, started my practice with litigation, but I moved away from it way back. I went into preventive aspect of it. I said, let's prevent disputes. Why are we resolving them? Why are disputes happening? Let's go backwards and see that. So there is a lot of work on that end. I don't know why, because look, every time you discuss lawyers, definitely litigation does come into the picture, because that's what they're generally doing, and that's what they're trained into, and that's what they're told. This is what you're supposed to do. You join the army and go fight the war. Of course, that's not what has to happen. So we have to, of course, that is another whole area for the lawyers. But for the moment, I've walked away from that, and I said, look, let's just look at mediation and let's just develop that. And that part of it will change from this end when people actually start. And look, it's very clear. If the user wants it, they will change. The litigating lawyers will change. I kept giving in the symposium that example of the US, that the fact that everything is going through the court system is because the lawyers have taken control of it now. So finally, they'll do that, what they did with litigation, that to take control of the mediation, which is also, I find, really wrong. We have to move away from that also. It just has to move as lawyers being service providers in the mediation. They come in when they're required, not directing the process or taking it further. But this artificial intelligence that you said, what about when we talk about machine learning, we need data. How are we going to give that much data for that artificial intelligence to develop? How are we going to do that?
You know, for mediation, I don't think we need so much data, because for mediation and for using artificial intelligence in mediation process, we can use that data already incorporated to this concept and to this, let's say, machine, yes, or computer, because what I found it when I was preparing my talk 4 years ago, I found it that because artificial intelligence is already used in caregiver, as in caregiver industry, and in schools, especially to deliver teaching or caring to the disabled people or old people with mental health, Alzheimer. I think it's just a very short, path from one to another, and you can use. I think you can use that data and just kind of work on the ideal skills of mediator, and then try to. I don't think we need to humanize this computer, because I don't think people would actually care about if there is a humanoid robot or is there just a computer who helps. But the concept which I try to introduce is the concept to use artificial intelligence for people that are dealing with the conflict and they're preparing them to choose the right way to resolve it. So the first thing, it would be the scope of different possibilities, which will be shown in a way that people can understand the difference between litigation, going to court, arbitration, expert analysis, facilitation, and mediation. And after that, I think computer could also help and ask the proper question to help people understand the difference between going to court and the difference between being in mediation, and preparing people to be actually very secure and prepared to mediation. So the thing is, can we trust robots, and can we trust computer? And I think as mediation is the process of the party, and the mediator is a neutral helper and servant, is not evaluator, is not an advisor. It's just a kind of a mysterious, even I would say, mysterious. It's mysterious. Some now person, but it could be object. Yes, it could be a computer equipped in special skills, and that skills is mostly listening and being quiet in the space, and trying not to introduce any ideas, just giving a possibility, as a therapist usually do during
you're even talking about it is coming from the fact that people do think that there is this structure and mediation can happen in that structure, and we'll be able to find ways to even put that input into a computer. Maybe I keep talking about two things. I'd say the energy that a mediator brings in and the spirituality that a mediator brings in. Those are things which in nothing, no computer or anything you can't feed that in. I'm saying in terms of machine learning, you can put cameras and you can put mics in mediations rooms everywhere, have lots of this information going in, and what happened when that person used that tone, what happened in this situation. You can all do all that. Can you bring in the energy and the spirituality through anything else? So that is why it is a little difficult there, which it can be done in on this aspect of what people think, that box of mediation that has been created. In that box, definitely, but that's not what it is for me. And that is where I'm saying mediation has gone wrong in the world, and if it hasn't reached where it has reached, because the right people who have all that are not up there. People think they go into these factories, 40-hour factories, and we are churning out mediators. And that is where I think we have to restructure that whole concept, that whole box, because there are no numbers. I mean, what are the number of mediations that happen? I'm talking about this JAMS fellowship and all because I just feel that people in various parts of the world, at least they start talking about what they want to do, they get their ideas in. But what is the numbers? 18,000 is all they do. They're supposed to be the largest in the world. 18,000, they say. I'm saying there's a platform in India which has developed, which is doing more matters in the year.
But what do you mean? What do you mean 18,000?
JAMS only handles 18,000 matters in the whole year, and it has 400 neutrals on its panel. What is that? It's nothing. What are we talking about? We're talking about mediation has to be happening at grassroots level everywhere. Somewhere someone has lost that and litigate this whole legislation. It's the JAM statistics from their website. What is 18,000 in the world?
I didn't know that. I didn't know.
400 neutrals, 18,000 matters. What are we talking about? We have to expand the whole concept of mediation. All these, what has happened? Institutions have taken,
Vikram, look, and you are in this industry longer than I am probably, and you are living in profession, and you are, but it's more industry now.
It's become like that. That's what I'm saying. It's become like that.
But the thing is that we can't now bring the different concept. We should try to adapt. It's like a marketing something, people drink Coca-Cola because it's a Coca-Cola on the ban, yes, but the same taste of Coca-Cola was invented in Arabic countries, and the taste is absolutely the same, but the name is different. So the thing is, what is the taste of mediation? What is exactly there? Where is the heart of it? And why we are struggling as mediators to spread the word and make people understand that it's better for them to go through mediation in every case. And if it's not solved in that way by themselves with the help of neutral, then you always have a court after that, and you don't lose anything.
No, look, I'm saying we're going wrong in that step. We are saying it is better for you to take this process. I am saying the person who has to take you through the process is not around. That person who has that natural ability is not taking it up as a profession, is doing it on a casual basis. Look, I'm talking about the scale. Look, we will talk about mediation, like I said, it's institutions and all that is people. That's the only discussion which happens in the mediation world. We have to go out of that. Why did I do that symposium? We have to be able to understand there is such a large picture that we have to see for mediation, and governments also are being given this whole, even legislations are being drafted. They're given this whole thing about the courts, access to justice. I'm telling you, use that term. I am saying people are saying that mediation is access to justice. On what basis are you saying that if I resolve a dispute with my neighbor, I've got access to justice? No, I think the concept is that courts have become come through the colonial concept that they are the places where dispute resolution has to happen. And for that reason, if through the court system there is a mediation happening, there is access to justice. No, they are not being able to do their job. And because of that, they want to promote mediation and they can't charge for it, because their constitutional aspect is to deliver justice in through their decisions, and they can't do it. So they say go through mediation, and that whole foundation is wrong. That whole foundation is crumbles in every level. I will send you for mediation. I will put costs on you. I've come to you to give me a decision. You're a service provider. You are the most inefficient service provider, and you want to send me to another process. So you can't ask me to pay for it. So it is going to be free in the court system.
I have a question for you, because I know that we're trying to promote, we're trying to make this revolution, we're trying to get back to the grounds of, people being in conversation and resolving disputes without any help. But I think that the main wrong concept is that justice can be delivered. Justice is inside us. We have this, we know what is it. It's a moral, ethical attitudes towards the values which we all share. And it's like we are in a common humanity. And the thing is that if we expect that justice can be delivered by someone else, by the institution in this building, we're wrong. We are on the wrong way.
Well, that's very interesting thing.
That's
very interesting thing what you said. Exactly when people talk about the role of lawyers in any process, could be mediation also. I keep saying that first of all, if you are fair and reasonable in your life, and if you look at the law, that law will have to be what you are talking about in any situation, because the law has to be fair and reasonable. If it is not, then in that case, that law has to be challenged. So I'm saying, like what you're saying, that we know what is right, what is wrong, everything. So we don't really need that law to tell us what is it. So in that sense, we understand that. But Katarzyna, the problem is, which I was talking about in the symposium again, that the mindset has been affected because of colonization, and that whole thing has to be undone, and which is where you come in. We use your mindfulness and other aspects and everything. We have to undo a lot that has happened over the hundreds of years, that people have been told courts and decisions and someone else doing it. All that has been so ingrained. You're very surprised. I was in conversation with a beautiful mind with Chijioke from Nigeria. So his son was there. So I asked his son that if there is a fight in your school, do you help, or is there someone who helps you resolve the fight? He says, no, I won't do it, because my teacher will not like it. Can you imagine? He will not resolve a dispute within themselves because that authority figure is sitting there. This is the mindset right from there, from the childhood thing. You talk about peer mediation. Where are you going to do away with those teachers who are sitting on their head and saying, no, we know what to do, you don't know what to do? It's a very complex situation which we are handling. And that is where I think we have to be able to understand that we have to go into the mind and see how do we undo all those things and it's now, how do we change the children? Like I said, if the teachers are sitting with that same mindset, the parents are sitting with that mindset.
I think you mentioned few very interesting things. With colonization, for me, I'm from Poland, so it's a little different. But I think you mentioned few very important aspects of this. The first aspect is the power, and the difference between power of people. They are higher level, situated in the society, and the people, they seem themselves as a situated lower, and then probably with the power comes the justice. And we need to understand that the power is not exactly what we're looking for, because the power is in us. We're looking for respect, and we're looking for trust. And if people expect anyone to deliver something, and in a now present world, delivering can be questioned if the product is the item is not fitting to our purposes, yes, is not delivered in time, is not exactly what we order. And if we put justice instead of item from Amazon or the other big provider, we can see that we can order justice, yes, but anything we order, we call justice, wouldn't be delivered as a justice. So it's a big difference between what we expect is justice and what we are, what is delivered. And then in the middle, I'm sorry for disturbing, but in the middle is a human being, is a person who can understand that, and that's why we're talking about the mind, that our mind can be trained and we can be reteach, or we can be taken back to the background, and we can see the new plan and the new roadmap for our.
This is exactly what I was coming to. I was coming to that new roadmap could have been developed, but the first thing was that this mindset that dispute resolution happens in courts. First of all, that is what was ingrained. So we had to do away with that. We had to do away with that.
I don't think so.
No, it doesn't. That's what I'm saying. It doesn't happen. No, as I'm saying, it doesn't happen. But this whole colonial mindset, which I'm talking about, always told people that dispute resolution happens in courts, which we had to undo. But now when we are trying to undo that, what we find is that mediation is also happening in courts. People were supposed to move away from the courts and go towards mediation is what we want them to do. But that has also now got interlinked with courts. Now the mindset back to the same thing. Again, dispute resolution happens in court. Could be through litigation, could be through mediation. People have started looking at that. We'll look at that. I'm not saying that there is so much of mediation happening in India in the court system that people will right now totally associated with that, because they won't even know what's happening. But I'm saying that we are going so wrong now, because we had a chance. We can say, look, dispute resolution through litigation happens in courts. Dispute resolution should happen within yourselves through sit together and do it. If you can't do it, get a third person to do it. Those are the steps that you had to follow. And that is how you have to resolve your dispute. Courts come in. They should not come in, first of all, because finally, if you have to take 20 years there, what coming in is there? So that is not coming in. But my biggest issue is from this entire thing, which I have repeated so many times in the symposium, is that this colonial concept that I can put someone in jail and keep the person there, and I am an inefficient institution. I don't know when I can deliver justice to that person, but doesn't matter. I am a colonizer's court. How can you keep the person for 1 hour also inside jail when you know you can't deliver justice? Either you can give the justice in that 1 hour, see what's happening, or just you can't take the person's freedom away. So, which is where I'm saying that mindset that the courts can do what they want, sending a person to prison, knowing that you are totally clogged in your system, you can't deliver justice, is something. It's that act is criminal, and no one can question the court, because courts, again, they're up there. No one questions it. No one can talk about them, and they are the ones now got into mediation. And I'm saying that's the worst thing that's happened in the world.
I think there is a big mistake about interpretation what the court is. And I really like the concept of Professor Richard Susskind, who call courts as a service.
Exactly.
It's not an institution.
That's what I keep saying.
And so that's the first thing. And the second thing is we say often, and you said in your now what you were saying, you said courts, institution. But we have to remember there are people there, the same as us, the same human beings, and they think they're entitled to send anyone to jail before asking the victim if can take apology and forgive for what happened. Because sometimes, and we know it from the apology and forgiveness concept, that sometimes the victim is not actually willing to send the perpetrator to the court, to the jail. It's just about being heard It's just being recognized that I suffered, and having this possibility to stand, eye by eye with the between and just say, I apologize, and take this advantage to be forgiven.
No, but I'm telling you, this
so
is.
I don't think we should question the court system as it is. We just, as a rebels in this world, we're trying to bring the concept of using the court not as a first instance to resolve the conflicts, but there's a last.
I'm telling you, I'm going beyond that. I'm saying when I hear what James Mangarere is doing in Kenya and how the system is developing there, I am saying that the fact, I don't know whether you saw that session. You must watch it. The concept is that the traditional system there, the communities, the decisions that they take, the whole thing again, the colonial concept that no, it has to go to court, the police, everything. So they had a case there in a village. A murder took place, and within the community, they actually came up with a resolution there. Okay, this family will give that family 15 camels, but on this end you had the penal code and the courts. So the police obviously registered a case. The case went into the court. No one came. No complainer, no witness, nothing. So the judge understood, sent the police to that village to find out what happened. And they were told this is what happened. The court passed an order on the basis of what the community decided. It was a major issue there. It was controversy. How can you do that? We have a penal code. How can you do that? The judge referred to the Constitution and how the Constitution protects traditional methods.
Very wise man.
So if you have that, and I'm saying if other constitutions also you start looking at, they'll have that protection. There is a part in our Constitution which talks about it, but no one looks at it because no one is going beyond what they are shown. So I'm just saying that all that is happening, and he's actually working on this. He's going to communities, strengthening that where the issues are, where there are issues also. It's not that there are no issues. Women might not have a voice. Women might not be able to be mediators. There are all those things have to also be taken care of, which is what I would know again that David Shimoni is with the session also. I keep talking about where he's talking about the hybrid model with the traditional and modern. So I mean that all this activity can happen and easily can happen, but the mindset towards dispute resolution, the colonizer and the colony and the ruler and the ruled, all those things that have been put into people's system, we have to undo. A lot has to be undone, Katarzyna. This is where I'm saying you come in. These are the areas which you have to come in to change the mindset on this side. You are looking at mindset of the lawyers.
I am looking on mindset because I think even when I'm taking in consideration my mindset, yes, what I went through when I started my secondary school, I never thought about being a lawyer. I think my family was really hurt and suffered during the war, Second World War, and all the properties of my family was taken by the state, and no one could actually help. All my grandfather, and then my grandmother, and then my father, to restitute that property. And when I was observing as a teenager, my father, who was a chemistry professor, who never had any experience in law, and how he tried as a human being, as having that law to get back that property, fight with the system, I was thinking, my goodness, can I do something? Can I do something for my family to help them? So the reason I get, this day for the exam for the university in law department, it mostly influenced by that. And the second thing was most of my friends, they were going to study law. And I was not actually thinking about law. I would that time, I was thinking about being a theater director, or I was completely lost in a theater, and then when I get to law and I start having this practices, I found out that court is the theater. you have to play. That's the rule. And then you have
so you
to
fit in well. So you're saying
so I'm fitting quite well, and I was very successful litigator for 22 years. But when I found that there is a big difference what I feel and what I think when I'm in a court, and that there is a layer, there is a mask I'm putting on, I start thinking how I can communicate this with the judge and with the opposing counsel. And that's why I brought mindfulness, because I think, and I have now experience with judges in family courts, with the judges in penal courts, and with judges in civil courts, that they feel the same, but they can't show it from that perspective of being sitting in a bench and being there's a powerful, institution to deliver justice. They just can't do that. And that's why I'm trying to bring mindfulness and gave them the space to actually explore that they can. There is no weakness in it. That is natural way of helping people and serve them from the bench, to ask them and gave them the possibility to find the option to resolve. And mostly, if you are from that perspective of the judge who is in Poland sitting a little higher,
yeah.
and the judge is starting exploring by asking simple question and giving a space for answer, in few minutes, people understand why I'm here. Why? Why? Because this is not a case I cannot decide on. So yes, we definitely need to train ourselves. We definitely need to change the university curriculum for legal profession, and we need to approach these directors and teachers and and try to make them understand that what they bringing to the students lasts with them for whole their lives. So if you can bring the mindset of being capable to only serve, not fight, and this is not a weakness, it's a powerful tool.
But I'm telling you, Katarzyna, you have to also see that whether the people who have that power are going to let it go, like I was saying, in the schools itself, is that atmosphere going to be created by the people who feel they are in authority and they are the ones that the students should come to, and not create an atmosphere there where, look, you can do it on your own. Look, it's an approach. It's a very simple approach. Look, you can do this within yourselves.
But you know that definitely there is a big difference between child raised by the mother who is afraid of everything and the child raised by the mother who is open to risk.
Exactly.
And then you can see the difference in child. And then this child is going to jump on the tree the same as is going to jump into the conflict saying, look, I can help. And the one who is always in fear, who is not self-estimated, yes, and is feeling this kind of, like freezing critique and judgment by the parents, is never going to do that.
Which is what I saw. What did I give you?
So we're talking to people. We're not talking to mediators. We're not talking to lawyers. We're just talking to everyone, because we're going to be parents. We're going to be grandparents. We can be lawyers, but we can be therapists. We can be, anyone. It's just about finding in a human, the mind who is enough open enough open and broad to actually,
but I'm saying,
and patient.
That's the environment. It's the environment that you are growing up in. That whole environment, if it is not at all moving in that direction, so this whole thing will never change. Because, like I said, there are people of authority who are telling people that no, you can't resolve on your own. I am required, or we are required for doing that. So that gets passed on immediately. I'm giving you a simple example of Chijioke's son. He's saying that no, I won't do it because my teacher won't let me do, won't like it. The fact is, this is
if you now as a parent, as a father, can step saying, look, but I'm giving you the permission to do that. And I'm standing by you. And I'm your father. And the power comes from you. And I'm only, if anything happened, I'm only there to catch you. You are not falling down.
This is interesting thing that you're saying. So that means we have to understand from the psyche of those children that would they listen to their teacher or their father? We have to understand that also.
Do you know, the thing is, and you probably have that experience, if the parents are not ignoring teachers, they can criticize them and judge them, but still keep the respect and not showing disrespect. Kids will be, yes,
that kind of atmosphere is developing.
Yeah, the atmosphere of it's like transition. I had two sons. They're already mature, and we went through different schools in Poland, and my both sons are completely different. One is more silent, and the older was more silent, very diplomatic, but the mind itself is more like architecture, scientific. The younger one was more open and very trustful, and I had different problems with different schools, and two boys always doing something. And I remember when I first time was kind of instructed by the teacher in a primary school of my older son, if you can take him from the school and send him to another environment, because the class is too big for him. He thinks in different way. He is burning himself. He's like, he can do much more. And now he's helpful for the other students. But if you as a mom can do anything to help him to grow, do it. And that was with my older son. With my younger son, I was sitting with the teacher when he was in a secondary school, and she was telling me, he does not know how to write Polish, in Polish, and he's this, and he's that, and I said to her, look, I think this is misunderstanding. You are a teacher and I'm a mother. I'm not going to teach him Polish because, I am not criticizing you, but I expecting you to treat my child the same as and if he needs more job from your side, that's your rule.
But Katarzyna, the thing is that you have to understand from the larger perspective of education. We are talking about this whole world. We are talking about countries where this choice is not there. We are privileged. We are privileged.
Let me finish, and you will understand. Then my son went to Brazil. Never ever had any contact with Portuguese language. He get to the Brazilian school. He started learning Portuguese from scratch. And after 8 months, I came there and I got a letter from the teacher, and he was appreciating and really being even gratitude for me that I sent him to the school, because he showed my son as an example that you can do that in 8 months. And he was writing a poem in Portuguese.
Wow. So this is all about the atmosphere. That's exactly the atmosphere. It's all about that.
We're talking about the environment. This is a space. And to understand the space, because I will need to, hide myself, and I'm going to, celebrate the 78th birthday party with the very close friend of mine, the father of my best friend. I just want to say that mindfulness from that perspective, and the practice of observing that the breath come in and come out, and there is a special time, you can't actually accelerate that.
Okay, so basically, is
just what we need to understand.
What you have to understand, Katarzyna, is that now you've changed the format, which I'm not going to let you do. Of course, you've done it. It is now become that I have come with an agenda. I have 1 hour and I have to leave. I'm telling you, Viraj from South Africa said she had 1 hour. I had to cancel her thing. Look, I said, look, conversations will
You can
flow.
always cancel me.
No,
But
now
what
you're
I
not
said,
cancelled.
but
You're not.
what I had
You have to
what
come
I had
relaxed. You
to
have to say, then
say,
come relax with time. We can do it
I
again if you
said
want. We'll,
the idea
Yes.
is,
What
and
you're
I
I'm trying to
think
say, what I'm trying to say is that there are so many interesting things that you have to put across, that you have to come with a relaxed mind and have those conversations going, because there is so much that you're such interesting things that you are doing and thinking, and you have a totally different approach to looking at it. This rushed up thing that I want to give you this, I want to put this point across because I have to rush there, doesn't work on my show. I'm telling you, the whole show is all about bringing out everything that you are thinking about. There's so many interesting things which we have had conversations about earlier. So many interesting things. How can you fit it all into 1 hour? Tell me. So we need more time. I
I
think we'll
don't know.
have to do part two.
You
We'll
need
do
to
part
ask
two.
my
We'll do part two.
parents.
We'll do part two. We'll do part two. We'll do a part
Okay,
two.
but if before we finish and
Yeah.
before I
Yeah. Yeah.
disappear
Please.
from the
Please. Please.
Zoom, I would love to say something to lawyers and mediators about being in a silence, because I think in this crazy world with this crisis of immigration, especially immigrants on the Polish and Belarus border, which is I think is a human disaster, and this is a breach of all human rights. This is something I cannot actually accept myself. And I would love mediators, peace builders, peacemakers, people they care, to spend 1 minute in silence to appreciate these people, their braveness, to still hiding themselves in these forests in a -1 or -2 with small kids, with pregnant women, because we need to help them. And this is what Vikram is doing about spreading the word about mediation. It's not about mediation, it's just about trying to understand conversation, trying to understand different points of view, and acknowledge that we all the same, and we are not different, we are not better or worse, and everyone has a conflict around. But with this what we have, we are enough, and these people there,
But Katarzyna, you have to
they
you have to educate
actually,
me. You have to educate me because I don't read the news, so I have no idea. Please educate me. What is
okay,
happening? What is happening?
on Polish and Belarus border now in 2021 century, there are, I think, around 1,000 people. They cannot be pushed through the border and get to the European Union because of the Polish system, and the law just changed, that they are pushing back to Belarus. And as you know, Belarus is a totalitarian, authoritarian country now. And because it's really cold there, and they cannot get any medicine officially, cannot be fed, cannot be accommodated, only by good, open-hearted people volunteering to help them. Some of them survive, but unfortunately, some of them already died in that forest. So to respect them, just sit in silence for 1 minute, and let's bring to mind the concept: peace building and peacemaking and resolving disputes is by appreciating the other human beings.
And also, yeah, the basic point is that these are people. There are people. There's not just the politics of it is the other thing. These are individuals. There are this whole thing about whether this nationality, that nationality, and all that is these things that we have created. but these are human beings. I think somewhere down the line, the human being has got lost in the entire picture of what's been happening, and we have to get there. And I'll tell you about this interesting thing, but let's keep that silence that you're talking about first, and then we'll go. The silence starts now. So that 1 minute starts now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So, but the interesting thing I was going to tell you about this is because, like you were saying, that the human being is getting lost in the entire picture. So there's this person from this small town in Argentina. Liliana, his name. I got her into that thing with Adi when he was talking about his fellowship thing also. The thought on dispute resolution and how the human being has been lost in that, that individual has been lost, and the entire system has been developed with whatever the procedures and this and that, and the individual is not heard. So she's wanting to work on that. But of course, I told her about the JAMS fellowship. So she's now finding out about that. But the main thing is that the individual just wants to be heard. And that is not happening in the
Seen,
system.
heard and seen.
Yeah, I'm saying they just want to be heard. I'm saying they don't might not even want to be seen. And that is where this, and such a basic thing. So she basically worked in the, is actually an employee of the government there, city council there, but she's taken a 1 year unpaid leave because she's got so passionate about developing all this. But the problem is that if you are wanting to do this, where is the atmosphere to do it? And my challenge is that she has now 10 months left. Within that period, I have to be able to, of course, I can only do my little bit, but the idea is that such a person who wants to do this good thing and create systems where dispute resolution, where the individual's dignity is taken care of, and that by itself, like she says, it's a human right violation, the way they are dealt with. And I'm saying again, this is a colonial concept that you can deal with the colonized in that manner. But I'm saying, where is the opportunity? I'm to be wanting to do that, but how would you do it? So if she has to go back to that job, which she's going to get frustrated in because she's seeing around her something which she doesn't agree with, but the system says you have to do this. So you are stuck. So now for me to make sure that that doesn't happen, I'm finding ways. I said, JAMS fellowship, try it out. Maybe something come, connecting her to all these people. Wadi is a wonderful person. Then we had Judge Shemak, or maybe on Monday we talk to him. Just connect that and get something going. I mean, there's so, and this is just for me an example of someone. I'm saying I'm taking her as a representative of so many people who are sitting there frustrated. They want to look at dispute resolution from a totally different angle, but they are look, there are people in the court system. I'm saying even litigating lawyers who do not agree with it. But because on the other end, mediation and other things haven't developed, every day of their life, they're going into a court, they're arguing, not wanting to do it. But they have to do it because ultimately, finally, it starts with basic needs. The stomach has to be full. The basics have to be taken care of. So then are you compromising between your heart, mind, and your soul, and what, like you said, your theater concept that have to put on something? But what is happening behind to that individual? Again, Katarzyna, here also the individual. What that individual who's part of that dispute resolution system, who doesn't agree with it, but has to be part of it, that individual also we have to think of, which is where what you are doing. You're looking at lawyers from that perspective. So that thing that also needs to be done. And I think at this point of time, you want to leave because that birthday party is happening. So I think you go, and we'll do a part 2. We have to do a part 2. So we have to have, I mean, it's always lovely talking to you. And of course,
Thank you.
obviously this much time is not good enough. So we'll do a part 2 definitely. It hasn't happened up till now, but for you, it's going to be a part 2.
Thank
Right?
you, Vikram. See you later.
Thank you very much for coming in, and I'll see you then. And you have to do your, whenever you're doing your jams thing, you have to decide that on that experience
Okay.
is immediate experience. We'll decide that. All right.
Okay.
See you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
See you later.